I'm a strong advocate for history being told exactly the way that it happened. I don't think any of us have the right or the privilege to change or alter history in any way. It's so sacred. I think when we do that, we change the outcome of things to come. So once I saw that painting, I realized that there was something much bigger than myself that I needed to pursue and be involved in. So I think that sort of put me on my quest to tell my story and to work with kids, which is what I do today. So that particular day, when I was in the car being escorted to school, when we turned the corner, the streets were lined with protesters, and they were barricaded because that's how the police had set it up. There were policemen everywhere. I remember being escorted straight to the principal's office. I guess I was there to be escorted to my classroom, possibly meet my teacher, and to get started with my studies. But I sat in the principal's office actually all day with my mom that day, and I remember the federal marshals standing right outside the doors. You could see them. You know, there were glass windows. And the next thing that I saw was all of those people that had been standing outside rushing in, shoving and pushing and pointing at me through the windows. Their faces seemed very angry about something. Just seemed really busy and confusing to me. And I saw them pass the window, and when they would come back by the window, there were kids with them. And that happened all day long, back and forth. Finally the bell rang. It was 3 o'clock, and I remember someone entering the room and saying, "School is dismissed. You can leave." And I distinctly remember that because I thought to myself, wow, this school is easy. Not knowing that what was really happening is that parents rushed into the school and went into every classroom and pulled out every child. There were over 500 kids that actually left the building that day, and it was because I was there. So I had no idea that that was taking place right before my eyes. The second day, once I returned, I remember being escorted into the building, and the building seemed very different. It was so quiet. You know, you could hear a pin drop. There was no one moving around. I didn't hear any kids. But I remember getting to the top of the stairs and someone saying, "Your class is down the hall." And the federal marshals turning me around and walked me down the hall to this classroom. And once I got there, the door opened and this woman stepped out. And she said, "Hi, my name is Mrs. Henry. I'm your teacher." And I remember looking at her and thinking, she's white. So I was not accustomed to seeing a white teacher. And she did look exactly like the people outside that were screaming and yelling and seemed really angry about something. And so much was going on outside that I didn't really know what to expect from her. But I soon learned that she was an amazing teacher. You know, she became my best friend. I knew that she cared about me. We did amazing things in school. But I remember the questions that I would ask her was about why I didn't see any kids. Now that was very strange for me because I was accustomed to school. And like any 6-year-old, you know, the most important thing to our babies is having friends. But as time went on, I would hear kids. Then I would mention it to Mrs. Henry. "Mrs. Henry, I hear kids." And she would never say anything. I thought she was ignoring me when really what she was doing is going to the principal and saying that you are breaking the law. The law's changed and kids can be together now, but you're hiding them from Ruby. If you don't allow them to come together with Ruby, I'm going to bring you to the superintendent. And I think that forced them to allow me to interact with those other kids. And so I'll never forget that day. They were not allowed to come to my classroom, but Mrs. Henry would bring me to where they were. And I remember the very first day that happened, you know, I was just filled with joy because I sort of felt like I'd finally found some friends. But I have to say that that is the day that I really got a very rude awakening. And because that's when a little boy said, "I can't play with you. My mom said not to play with you because you're a nigger." And when he said that, even at 6, I felt like this huge weight lifted off my shoulders because I had spent so much time trying to figure it all out. Like, where were the kids? Why I was the only kid in the school? Why it seemed so different? And finally he said it, that it was all because of me and the color of my skin. He made it all make sense. That was an eye-opening moment for me. Because that old saying about, you know, you have to know where you come from to know where you're going is very, very true. Which is why history is so important. The commitment I made to myself was that I wanted to work with kids. And somehow I thought it was important to try and explain to kids that racism really doesn't have a place in their hearts and in their minds. Because I sort of felt like adults already know that. Adults sort of have a choice. But kids, in the beginning, they are not aware of that. So, just like the little boy who said, "I can't play with you," he didn't really have a choice. Which is part of the reason why I wasn't really angry with him, because I thought he was explaining to me why he couldn't play with me. And I really figured at that moment that if my mom or dad had said, "Ruby, don't play with him. He's Hispanic, he's Asian, he's Jewish, he's mixed race, he's Muslim, he's gay, he's white," I would not have played with him. As a matter of fact, I know I wouldn't have. And so I decided that it didn't really make much sense for me to spend my time trying to convince or talk to adults. That what I needed to do is to explain to kids what I saw and how I felt. And that if I went back to being 6 and I explained that they would see it too. And that they would understand what I saw and understood. I believe freedom is about having the opportunity to dream, to have visions, to be able to pursue those dreams and those visions. That's what I really think freedom is about. For me, you know, whenever I'm talking to kids, I always say that you have to dream. You have to dream and believe in those dreams. And that's, I guess, part of what my calling was about, or is about. Having the freedom to be able to choose a school, go into it, gain the knowledge to pursue those visions and those dreams. To me, that's the ultimate freedom, to be able to do that.